Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to get started with roll call. Amber?
Here.
John? Here. Christina?
Here.
Crystal?
Here.
Mark? Here. Kenny?
Here.
Gwen?
Here.
Todd? Here. Dale? Here. And Mike. All right, we need to swear anybody in here?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I think we have a couple new members. We have Todd, who's from the council, Todd Lineball, and Crystal Kelly.
All right, is it Todd Lineball? That, okay. So how about I'll just state the oath of office and then both of you to indicate I do that. We don't have to go through marriage vows here. Is that okay? All right. I, Todd Lineball and Crystal Keller, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and state of America. And I'll faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties of the office of the Stark County Plan Commission according to law to the best of my skill and ability. I hereby certify that I am not an employee of the county, at least 18 years of age. Both of you, I do?
I do.
I do.
All right, we're good.
And we definitely have a quorum tonight. This says approval of the agenda, but ours is supposed to be approval of.
That was an error on my part. It was a misspelling. It should be approval of minutes from the
Okay.
solar or the meeting. So
Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the meeting? Yeah, motion to approve. Was there?
I was absent.
I'm sure. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Got a motion from Mark Allen. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I
Motion passes. All right, so we got a few things on the agenda tonight. I would like to make a suggestion that we start with C, D, and E. I think those are going to go a little bit quicker and then move to A and B. Anybody else be interested in that?
I'll make a motion to reflect that.
Got a motion from
I'll
Gwen
second that.
and a second from Mark. Right, we're gonna get started with C, carbon capture. And this we just received today, is that right? So really, nobody up here has had an opportunity to review it.
Correct.
Really, at this point, we should probably table it for further review.
It was put on the agenda for where we're at with the resolution to go, so we now have got a draft of it to review, and then we'll review it again at next month with a public notice.
Okay, so we probably need a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table, the carbon capture.
Okay, we got a motion from Mark. We have a second.
Second, Dale.
Second from Dale. Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, so we've got some job descriptions we need to get cleaned up, and I think John has actually put a lot of hours into this, trying to get it straightened out based on feedback from the last meeting. So I'll let John kind of lead the charge here.
Alright.
You want open?
Yes, sir. So based on the guidance from the board, option C seemed to be the most universally accepted path forward. Based on that, it's the hybrid model. So in that, my position will become the director of planning and building. And I will be the department head for the planning and building department. I'll maintain final say in all actions of the department. And I'll be overall in charge. The next position would be deputy administrative assistant. The way we did that one is you guys received a bunch of article amendments and ordinance amendments, giving the deputy administrative assistant, administrative officer abilities under the plan commission, which gives her the same authority as I, as far as the planning department is concerned. She will run that aside and she'll do her thing. If I don't agree with the decision she made, or I feel like it should be handled differently, then I can step in if I need it, but so far that hasn't been needed. And then the final position is the secretary. It's not the BZA secretary, it's just the secretary in general, not to be confused with the secretary on the BZA board or the planning commission board. She will dual hat as the BZA secretary in job descriptions, and then she'll also be the code enforcement officer. So she'll handle the intake and processing of all BZA cases. She'll be the secretary for the BZA meetings, and she'll handle all the paperwork associated with BZA decisions. Based on this, everything should be covered as it was laid out in the hybrid model of the hierarchy for the plan commission.
And John sent this out a while back. Hopefully the board's had an opportunity to review. Any conversation from the board?
I looked over all of them. I was happy with all of them. The secretary position one, I looked over, didn't find anything I thought needed changed in the administrative assistant. There was one that I thought maybe yours, John, just a little highlighted sentence that might make it so that you don't ever get blamed for any kind of overstepping or anything like that, which you wouldn't do, I understand, but accused of it maybe. And it's just a quick little thing. It says, it's in A3. I added, except where authority is expressly reserved to the plan commission or board of zoning appeals by statute. That's the only thing I saw, just to kind of, and I have a copy of this for you guys if you wanted to look at it, but I thought everything looked great on there, so.
Any other comments?
Is that an addition?
Yeah, is that a change you'd like to see made? Should we present it to the board?
Here, you can pass these down, enough for everyone. It's highlighted in pink. All I had,
That's not enough for you.
there you go,
Your family.
it's right on the front page.
Yeah, that makes sense for me.
Would you like to make a motion to proceed with these changes?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we, move forward with the highlighted sentence that I just read and add that into the, planning commissioner job description, and then move forward with the others as well.
So approving it with that
With,
caveat.
yes,
Okay, we have a motion from Gwen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Ken.
oh, go ahead.
Okay. This sentence, can you give me an example of where the plan commission would be reserved?
Well, that's a good question.
Because the plan commission doesn't handle permits or inspections or enforcement. So I'm not really sure what,
Well, although you do handle permits and things, but like recently we had one get questioned that needed to possibly come back to the planning
no, it
commission.
would go to the BZA. Like my decision was final, they have to appeal with the BZA.
Okay,
So I can put unless reserved by the BZA,
right,
but I don't want to get it wrong.
all right, yeah, I understand.
So
Somebody maybe can bring me up to speed. Wasn't there a conversation last year about a certain dollar amount that would have to come in front of the plan commission for a permit to be approved? Wasn't there a discussion of that at some point in time?
It sounds familiar, but I would have to.
Like in maybe February, March of last year. I thought that discussion was had. That's the only reason I could see that would be in there, if that discussion was had.
I see what you're saying. I understand, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Remember that.
voted on and passed,
Numbers.
but it
Yeah,
never
it's
turned
still-
into an ordinance.
yeah,
It was before you, it
I've
was before
scoured
you.
for the last 20 years. I have every single ordinance that's had to do with plan or BZA, and I've never
It
seen.
never got followed through completely. That's the only reason I think it would need to be in there. I mean, other
Okay.
than it being in there doesn't hurt anything.
No, I just, yeah, I mean, that's for the board to talk about, whatever.
My feelings around the
It was discussed.
Nathan,
The thought that I have here, is maybe take what is a suggested change here and after the word appeals, put comma or by statute. It's possible that someone comes in with an application, it comes before you, you approve it. And you also insert into the approval some certain considerations that if X, Y, or Z happens, it has to come back before you again. That would be an example where we're not skirting the building commissioner authority, but you're saying it has to come back to us. Then there's also separately the or by statute, the feasibility that our fine folks in Indianapolis enact some law down the road that we're gonna obviously have to abide by.
An example of that would be House Bill 1005 that went in place in January, authorizing builders to hire their own inspectors and plan reviewers if we can't provide a decision in a timely manner.
Right.
So if it's hard to get a quorum or I can't get you guys together, they can easily say, well, we're gonna hire our own plan reviewers and circumvent us.
But I'd suggest that change. Take, what Gwen has suggested, add a comma after the word appeals and then add in the words or by. And Gwen, you're okay with that, we can just make that a friendly amendment to your motion.
Okay, so I'd like to amend my motion to include, except where authority is expressly reserved to the Plan Commission or Board of Zoning Appeals, comma, or by statute.
Mark, that makes sense. You're the second, you're okay with that?
No, I wasn't. Dale was.
Dale was? Okay,
No.
Will, are you okay with that?
Anyways.
It was Kenny.
Kenny, I knew it was.
You were the second.
Yeah, yeah,
He's okay.
I'm okay with that. I was
That's.
marking it.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
So those
all
would
those,
be-
all those in favor, including the change,
Aye.
opposed, motion passes.
And those are ready to move on to the commissioners, correct?
No, I have to amend it and then represent it at the next meeting,
Oh, really?
and then it'll be ready for the
But
commission.
the other two can go, right?
If
Monday?
the other two are approved, yes.
Okay, all right.
That was in our motion, wasn't it?
I didn't feel that.
I thought it was.
I did they move on to the next one.
But your motion was that if the changes were made, it could be moved on, right?
So I.
Oh, okay,
That's
yeah.
the way I took it.
Okay, so just make that change and I'm good to move on.
I would.
Okay.
That's how I heard it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be good right now.
All right, well, that's what I said. All right,
Clear as mud.
then that won't hold you guys up and you can, yeah.
Did we need to approve the ordinance changes for that too?
They will, but not at this meeting. It's just discussions. If any of you had issues with the amendments, or you wanted things changed, so that way I can change them because I do have to schedule a public hearing because they're amendments. So this would be a good chance if you overlooked all the amendment changes and you had issues or questions.
I guess I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
You don't need a motion, but you can move forward now.
Yes, sir. So we'll move forward with a public hearing.
Nathan, is that all? Check.
Yep, it all checks, accurate.
All right. So do you need anything else from us on D? John, are you squared away?
I'm good, sir.
Okay. All right, so we've discussed this in a couple meetings, planning and zoning permit fee schedule. I did ask John to put that back kind of front and center. I know we've had a lot of discussion on it. There's been a lot of numbers thrown out. I don't think I have. And I think we had, you, actually, John or Amber, can you pull that up?
Yep. Hard to read this one.
This one, right?
This is the original.
Okay, and then you should have a, John made a nice.
There we
spread.
go.
You-
Yeah, right there.
Right, perfect.
So this one's the full,
Well, we don't, we're gonna look at it.
You might not have, I built a shorter one that just did like the most common fees. But the last time it was discussed, it was kind of consensus that it would be, if there was an increase, it would be a blanket across the board. So this reflects that, it shows the current and then incremental steps up to 30%.
Okay, and just for the new members on the board, the reason this came up for discussion is it's been, I think, 10 years, is that right, Amber?
2016.
10 years this year that we've not had an increase. I know that there was discussion of maybe as much as 20 or 25%. I think there was some mixed feelings on the board about going that high. I'll just make a suggestion for discussion that we do 5%. It can always be altered a year or two down the road. But at least that's a small percentage, but maybe gets us a little bit closer to caught up to some of the counties around us. Any discussion from the board?
You say that you're trying to get caught up, like, I mean, is there a need? I guess that's my question. Is there a need for us to raise the fee, or are we just trying to be comparable to the other counties?
Well, the cost of everything goes up.
I understand.
And we're behind as far as what other counties around us have done. So that's why the discussion started. We certainly don't have to do anything.
I'll make a motion to go up to 5%, like suggestions.
A motion from Mark.
Before, can you, identify, do you want all including fines or just all
Flat
permits?
5%, everything.
Everything, okay.
Make it simple that way.
Clean.
Before that, did we change, because it's still on what's in here, the renewal in grace and renewal out of grace change?
Those I haven't changed because it was touched for a second and then dismissed. The same thing with getting rid of the separate fees for sheds under 200 being a flat rate and then over 200 being per square foot. There was also discussion of changing it just strictly to per square foot.
Right, but the renewal in grace and out of grace,
Oh, that's swapped.
That was
Yes,
swapped.
good call, sir. So the renewal in grace and out of grace should be swapped. Obviously, if you're in grace, the renewal is cheaper than if you're out of grace. It'll be in renewals.
You talking about storage sheds?
Yes, yeah, it's,
I mean,
there's one that says.
Your rate?
Hold on. Say again?
I just want to clarify. I mean,
Yeah, there was discussion that I think the flat rate is what?
And nothing over 10 by 10 requires a building permit.
okay,
So so the rake sheds that are the 2 by 4 and stuff, those aren't considered, but anything that's bigger than 10 by
16
10.
by 32. What would kind of, how much of an increase is it? I was looking at one as well. Be good for me to know.
It's accessory buildings right there. So it sheds, pole barns, garages, they're all accessory buildings, so they all fall under one blanket. The way we did it is if it's under 200 square foot, but over 100, it was a flat $25 fee. If you went over 200 square feet, then you got charged, 15 cents per square foot. So that's how it's structured now. There was discussion last time of getting rid of the under 200 square foot and making from 101 square foot onward to a flat 15 cents per square foot.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty penny.
Mark, if you don't mind, I know we've got is your motion still standing?
Yes, I
Okay.
don't want to change it. That's fine.
Yourself
Well, real quick,
Flat 5%.
any input from public on this? Okay. All right, we have a motion from Mark to continue on with a 5% increase for 2026. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Kenny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we got two opposed, and was everybody else an aye? It's
Yeah.
hard to hear. Okay, I think motion passes then. We'll move forward with 5%. Now, does that have to be drafted for us to sign something at the next
It
meeting?
will, so I will have to draft up the new fee schedule and it'll have to go before the commissioners to approve.
Okay.
So that'll be in the public hearing along with the amendments, the other amendments.
All right, so that takes us back to A.
No. Better.
All right, so a couple things before we get started on this. I'm gonna suggest to the board that if we are, still have a ways to go, that maybe we take a 5-minute recess at 7. So people can use the restroom. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody opposed to that? No. the other thing I'm gonna suggest here is how do we want to do public comment during this? We are not obligated to take any public comment. Do we want to wait till the end or maybe take public comment somewhere in the middle? I'm looking for suggestions from the board.
The public comment after each item is addressed?
Well, that'd be lengthy, but if.
Oh, yeah.
Suggestion.
Well. Whatever. Could be at the end of the meeting, I suppose. You're right. It's good, get pretty lengthy.
So do we want to hold public comment till the end of, what was it? 8:13? I'm sorry, we're doing battery first.
Yeah, battery first.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
So let's
My suggestion would be to have comments at the end of the battery storage before anybody makes any motions or anything like that.
right, well, remember, we're not.
Yeah, motion.
We're not
Yeah,
taking
that's true.
motions.
We're just
It's not a
talking
public
about it,
comment.
but yeah.
So basically, after we get done with 11, more or less, we could open it up to public comment. Does the board agree with that? So do we have a motion to open it up for public comment after section 11?
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion from Gwen. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Was there anybody opposed? Thought I heard eyes crossed, but I guess I should verify. Okay. So I don't know how you guys want to do this. I've put a little bit of thought into it. Maybe just, I can start by rattling off a section 1, if there's discussion on it or changes. I believe Nathan has suggested that we're not making any motions to change this draft, but we can make suggestions and he can redline it and bring it back for a second version. So I can start with, let's say, section 1, we can have discussion on it. If there is no discussion, I'll move on to section 2. Once we get into some of the splits, I'll say 4-1, 4-2. We can continue discussion down through. Would that be acceptable? And we'll just muscle our way through this. Yeah. Okay, section 1's pretty cut and dry as far as legal. Anything on section 1?
Will we be reading each section for the, or not out
I
loud
hadn't
or?
planned on that.
Okay,
I'm really looking for feedback from the board so they
Okay.
can make changes. This may take 3 or 4 versions before we've all agreed.
all right.
Section 2,
I had something for section 2.
Okay.
Again, I have copies for pass those down. There's yours. If I have any left, I'll leave them sit on the table if anybody wants to take them. So, except I need my back because I just handed you one right here. So, that one is just some wording change. Nathan will hopefully get a copy down at his end too, if there's enough. But, do you want me to go ahead and read what I?
sure.
All right, so I added, this ordinance is enacted pursuant to the county's police power to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. Compliance with this ordinance or the issuance of any permit shall not be construed to create a vested right to construct, operate, continue, expand, or transfer a battery storage system. Nothing in this ordinance shall be interpreted as a regulatory taking or as guaranteeing approval of any application. And that's for section 2. In addition, of course, to what's already on there.
So you're suggesting that would be added language.
Correct.
Nathan?
I'm taking a look at it. I think the purpose of any ordinance is an enactment of county power. So that first sentence is redundant. That's understood. Doesn't hurt to have it in there, but that's understood. The second sentence, I'm not so sure I understand what that means. If you comply with an ordinance, then one should be able to operate a system. That's the purpose of ordinance. And then the third sentence. The first half of it. The take is something that's completely separate from this. And one has to meet an ordinance application terms in order to be approved, and if you do, then yeah, you are guaranteed approval of an application, so I'll want to digest it, but just first glance, I would say the first sentence, but the second two, I'd want to think through a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm giving you an off the cuff opinion here, aren't you,
Yeah.
Reed? So
That's all right.
Mr. Chairman, I would say we've got several months here to work through this. So I think tonight is a philosophical conversation as we work through some of these items.
Okay,
Yeah. My anticipation is that based upon tonight's conversation, we'll redline in the next couple of weeks and give it a couple of weeks before our next meeting to chew on those changes.
okay. Anything else on section 2? All right, section 3. Gwen, it looks like you've got something listed here for that.
Well, I do, so since he just said we had quite some time before we really need to worry about this, is it, I mean, should I go ahead and?
Well, I'd still like
Present it
you to
or-
read
Okay,
what you're
right.
presenting.
So, this is under section 3 in the definitions. Abandonment means the cessation of operations of a battery energy storage system, including but not limited to 12 consecutive months of non-operation, loss of termination of grid interconnection approval, failure to maintain required insurance, failure to maintain required financial assurance, or written notice of permanent shutdown by owner or operator. And just so you know, I was pulling these other ordinances, trying to find other ordinances to compare this to with how I came up with all of this different language, so.
Any discussion from the board? Any additional feedback? Anybody?
I'm a little confused on the whole thing. Are they wanting eventually us to pass putting up a battery storage system, obviously, right? And this is the rules and things we're requesting of them.
So this would be
Do
the
so?
framework of the regulation that
If we passed it, or are we framing this up to pass it?
well, this is to create an ordinance that the county will stand by. And which creates the framework that a battery storage company would have to follow in order to be within regulation in Stark County.
So if a big company wanted to put up a monstrous battery storage facility, regardless of where it's positioned, if they wanted to put that up and they qualify for all of our conditions, we can't deny them.
That would be correct.
That's what I'm getting at. Are we putting ourselves in the county, the citizens, into a trap that we're saying, okay, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you have to do this, and it's just like somebody appealing something, yeah, okay, I did that. Okay, we're gonna do that, or we're gonna do that, and then at the end of the run, it's like, okay, we're expecting our permit, how can you deny me when you've been throwing all this on the table and we comply? Now, the county citizens are if we walk ourselves into this, at the end of the day, they got us. There's nothing that really, you can't deny them. Because we keep doing this, what am I missing here? Are we working up a framework so that at the end, we can't deny them regardless how big it is or what they're gonna do, you know. This is big stuff, battery storages and these facilities. We're not an industrial, county. And this is all new for everybody. And we already bought a bag of goods last time with the first solar projects. I just, for the sake of the citizens, my job is to protect our county residents. That's how I feel. Residents come up first before anything with me. And whatever it takes to protect the residents without us accidentally inching into a trap. And that's where we're heading. That's what I see. Now, I could be wrong. This is what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this and, you know, we keep on tit for tat here. No, we could go on meeting and meeting and meeting, and then they could be documented every single thing that we're doing and say, yeah, we agree to that, we agree to that, and. So we want to put this up in a certain place now, and we did what you asked us to, now you can't deny me.
Yeah, so just to give you some backstory here, right now, there is not an ordinance for this.
Right,
So if a company, right now, we're under a moratorium for it, which will run out. If a company were to come to Stark County, they would be under no regulation from Stark County.
right. We're trying to protect ourselves with regulations but I'm just saying, if I had a company and we keep on working towards this and you got this one down and I call up to, yeah, we're gonna do that. And then the board says, well, we want this too. Okay, we talked about it at our board, we're gonna do that. And once all this stuff is done, how can we deny somebody from not wanting to put something up?
Nathan, do you have any?
Yes, I think as the chairman indicated, right now, you do not have an ordinance which regulates in any capacity anyone from making an application for or giving the plan commission, much less the planning director, the ability to assess anything in that application. The purpose then is to create ordinance whereby they have to meet certain criteria if they're going to apply. It allows us to mandate engineering, it allows us to mandate soil testing, allows us to mandate drainage. It allows us to mandate all of these assessments in their application, as well as you have the right and ability to locate, if they do make an application, where that potential facility may go. So that's where you get into good county government, which is to say, we may allow this particular type of business, but if we are going to allow it, it has to meet these safety criteria, this application criteria, and it may only be located in these locations. That's the purpose of then this body, is to give that structured governance on behalf of the citizenry. I guess if at the end of the day, you wanted to completely outright say it shall not be allowed in Stark County, then you would need to make a ordinance that says that. I think that. But I'm not sure that that would carry a lot of weight long term. So that's where you get into what does good practice look like in terms of municipal development to say, where can this type of business be located?
I don't know, there's so many citizens. I have compassion for the citizens because, you know, there's so much apprehension on so much of this here kind of stuff because it's new to everybody. And I'm having to do my own studying and research myself also. And I just want to use as much possible foresight as I'm able to protect our Stark County citizens. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate the thought.
Well, I was blessed to be put on this board and they put trust in me to be on this board and I want to fulfill that and try to do a fair job for the citizens
All right.
who put their trust in us.
Anything else on section 3? Moving on to section 4.1. 4.2. 4.3. 4.4. 4.5.
I have a suggestion for a 4.6 before you move on to 5.
Go ahead.
Right? So that would be non-conforming status prohibited, no battery energy storage system shall be deemed a lawful non-conforming use. Any BSS not in full compliance with this ordinance shall remain subject to enforcement, corrective action, permit suspension or revocation, and decommissioning requirements regardless of construction status, financial investment, or partial operation.
And just to clarify, you're looking to add a 4.6.
Correct.
Yeah. Any discussion from the board? Okay, moving on to.
So I like it.
Section 5.1.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, sir.
So Kenny, with 5.1 is expressing is, say, Bob Smith Battery Storage LLC wants to come in and make an application. What this section indicates is not only would they most likely be coming to this body, but they would have to get a special use permit from the Stark County BZA. So you're looking at two prongs of authority with eyes overseeing that particular application, which is a good thing.
Thank you.
Anything from 5.1? 5.2? Five point three. 5.4. 5.5. 5.6.
Yeah. I don't think there should be any renewal. They don't start construction within the first year. There's a reason why.
Right.
Maybe the technology's changed or something has changed. I think there should be a complete resubmittal of the permit and start the whole process over. That's what I think for that one.
I agree.
Yeah, the only comment I'd make, just from a business aspect, would be in some cases, 12 months is not a lot of time for a big project. So that's the only comment I'd make. I'm not saying I disagree. I'll throw that out there. It can be a challenge.
But they would have to resubmit like a brand new one, like Todd suggests, so they could go through that process. It would just take more time, more work on their end. But I agree with Todd.
Any other thoughts from the board? Interesting.
Interesting. So, yeah.
Just from an administrator side, 5.7. Has conflicts with another one that allows that third renewal, that allows me to issue the third renewal. But this one is saying they only get 2.
Yeah, 5.7 should be eliminated.
Yeah.
Should be struck totally.
Nathan, does that make sense, or what was your thinking when you?
Because it contradicts each other.
Looks with which one? The 5.6?
5.7. Doesn't it
Looks with,
contradicts? If we change 5.6 to where there is no extension, they would have to submit a whole new permit. 5.7 says it may not be removed more than once, but the thing is, it will not be renewed at all.
Yeah, you're correct. If you had limited to construction has to commence within 12 months, then we would need to.
Strike
eliminate
5.7.
5.7. Yep.
5.6 is already in the actual zoning ordinance itself. That's one of my purviews when I decide whether to grant a renewal is the construction status. If it has not within 12 months, then it's not renewed. So that's a repeat of Article 6. I don't know if you want to keep it in there anyway, but
I think the consensus I'm hearing from the board here is they would like a battery storage company to come back after 12 months and ask
Correct.
for a new permit. Is that kind of the? Yeah,
Okay.
and who are they asking? It's still on me,
They'd
correct?
have to submit a whole new permit, just like they did the first time around.
Starting,
They'd be able to start all over,
Start over.
start from scratch.
they haven't started any construction.
okay, so that takes us down to 5.8. And Gwen, you have something under your section 5. What would you want to up in there on that?
I got something for 5.8 too.
Go ahead, Todd.
Well, I'm just thinking there needs to be something added into there as far as an enforcement. Because here we have Nextera, who's been in operation for a year, and there is no as-built plans yet. They've never turned them in.
So, I'm slowly catching up. I have caught that and it is actually with Nathan right now to fix. So, going forward, I'll be able to enforce things, but it's hard for me to,
No, I understand.
you know what I mean? So I am checking Nextera and they are on my radar and, I will get them handled. And enforcement would be the same. Their permit is not closed out. It's still open. It's not valid anymore, but their permit was never closed because we don't have as-built plans. The one that we do not have as-built plans is actually involved in code enforcement, and that's part of it.
Gwen, I think you were gonna.
Okay, so, the wording that I wanted to add within there would be any transfer or change in ownership, operator, asset manager, controlling interest, or other entity responsible for operation or compliance of a battery energy storage system shall require review and approval by the planning commission prior to taking effect. All permit conditions shall remain binding upon any successor or transferee. So that's all I have to see if that would fit in with that anywhere.
And I believe, I'm not sure of the exact code, but I believe Nextera, when they sold it to NIPSCO, they were to come in front of the council, since there was an EDA involved into it, to inform us of the transfer of ownership. And that was never done. Not to this day, and they're more than aware of it. Not that it makes any difference, it's a formality more than anything.
And John, are you telling me there might be some new folks with Nextera? Maybe we can get some.
There is, they've had a massive change. Even
What's next now?
the liaison is different, so he's also catching up to what happened. He wasn't aware even. So I've spun him up a little bit and just like we're new, they're new as well. So we're kind of both trying to figure it out at the same time.
Has that dialogue been pretty good so far?
Yeah,
Good. Everybody okay with 5.8 now? 5.9? Okay, moving to section 6, 6.1.
Hmm.
6.2. 6.3. Anybody have thoughts on the setbacks from non-participating property lines?
What is it now?
More.
Well, right now, we don't have anything.
no setbacks from their fence from the neighbors' properties or?
Currently, we have no ordinance. There's nothing drafted.
The proposed smoke out proceedings. Proposes.
But there's no ordinance, right? There should be an ordinance of how far they setback should be from a.
Yeah, and that's what we're going through here.
Right.
6.6.
6.3.
Right,
So I'll just add in, I have heard and seen pictures of some of the fires from some of the battery. And one of the things that I have a little bit concern about is, a community evacuation plan. Maybe it's over precaution, but on some of these situations where these things have caught fire, they have evacuated folks from downwind. I don't know if 1,000 feet's enough. Or if a company establishes an evacuation plan, perhaps. But I think there should also be some value to that evacuation plan. And what I mean by that is, let's say we have to evacuate 40 homes out of precaution and they have to stay in a hotel. Is there some sort of fee for that, that could be established potentially in there? That somebody has to be taken out of their home because there is a fire. Nobody wants that, obviously. But is that $1,000 a day? Is it $2,000 a day? Just something to think about.
well, you're right, contamination. Let's say you got a home and that the contaminants from that drifted over and now your home is contaminated. I think that the company should be responsible for that, not the county.
Just some thoughts
Just
to have
saying,
on the setbacks and
Somebody should be held accountable, you know.
the setbacks. I think noise and pollution in case of a fire would be the two things that come to my mind. But that's just my thought.
Agreed.
Right, moving to 6.4. Six point five. One of the things that is kind of mentioned here, make sure I have my terminology correct. Yeah, I think it was measured at any point in the boundary of a non-participating parcel. And maybe that needs to be feet away from the project instead of a boundary. Obviously, we've all heard transformers when they're malfunctioning, they have quite a hum to them. Sometimes temperature can play on that a little bit. I'd really hate to see this get put in 300 feet from somebody's house, not to say that's what we're proposing. And that person has to listen to a hum, even if it's a malfunction and it's only a month or 2 months. So that, again, just for discussion.
I deal with it all the time. They built the substation next to me and I sometimes it is, you can hear it in the home. But then sometimes it's not so bad, but it can vary. And it is extremely annoying. Take a mercury vapor light for like a barn and amplify that consistently, and that's what you're getting. I don't know how they could harness that noise myself.
Moving to 6.6. I did see that there was something kind of brought up here, red green LED light for energized or not. I don't know if we need to be that specific, but something that indicates that it's a live system. I think that's good. Security lighting can be good and bad for the sake that if you've got a neighbor nearby and it's lit up like a Christmas tree.
Obviously, want to put down past it there.
Yeah, right.
I could recommend, instead of just putting that, you can make them do studies, and then there has to be certain candles worth of light at the barrier or at the separation of their property. That would probably be a better way to handle it than just that. Because some of these LED lights, even if they're downcast, they're still glass.
Yeah, whatever.
So
Whatever
you
that
could do
loop-
candle lumens at the border and they can't exceed a certain candle lumens of light.
Yeah, it needs to be enough for security in
Good
the
idea.
case of an emergency, but hate for it to be so bright that the neighbor thinks the sun is out at 12 o'clock at night. I don't know, is that language that you could kind of,
I've seen that language before.
okay. Anything else on 6.6? 6.7? Okay, I'm gonna mention one thing, the neighbors that have solar now, when I'm gonna call them non-participating folks. Probably the only thing I really hear complaint about, things that they wish would have been done differently is a better barrier between their property and the project. And in here we have evergreens, but it wasn't very defined. My suggestion would be planted 4 foot evergreens, which wouldn't interfere like the solar where it could be potentially blocking out the sun as it got bigger. These wouldn't rely on that. And I would suggest a double row system. So as it grows, and that would help with sound too, a little bit, kind of buffer that
The only
noise.
thing different here too, there is a 6 foot high berm.
Hmm.
Which the other projects, the solar projects do not have a berm.
Right,
at all.
so if there's a 6 foot berm and a 4 foot tree, that's,
Mhm.
that's blocking out pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good addition to berm.
Would you still have every 20 feet or would you close that into 10 feet?
Well, if it's staggered,
Can stagger.
it'd be every 10 really, but offset.
I figure a 20 foot tree is only really a 10 foot tree,
Right.
you know?
Any other thoughts on 6.7?
Yeah, just, you're right, staggered trees is a good idea. they put some trees in for me. But they're like, oh geez, they're quite a distance apart, like 10 yards apart. And, you know. It should have been staggered in between each other's,
And
bare minimum. That way.
moving to 6.8.
Mhm.
6.9. Okay, 6.1A.
Well, once again, we get into the same. The same language that we had before about the committee. So if we're gonna change it in the one. This year, the second line. Construction is not beginning within the year, the applicant must file for a single renewal, whether it's, if we're not gonna have any renewal, that needs to be struck as well. And you can leave the last one, would be after this period, which would go back to the 1 year. You would just strike the second bullet point completely. And then it would be consistent with what we were before. That's my thought.
I think if Nathan drafts a different version, that would probably get cleaned up. Moving on to section 7. Only thing I noticed in 6.7 and Nathan, this may just be because you're not aware of what we have in Stark County, but we do have an EMA director that we might want to funnel in. You've mentioned fire and EMS and such, but we do have an EMA director in Stark County. 6.2. I'm sorry, 7.2. Thanks, Todd. You're welcome. 7.3. 7.4. 7.5.
I'd like to see the amount changed on that greatly. I'll reach out to some of the fire departments and maybe talk to some of the chiefs, because $50,000 for firefighting, is anybody in here a firefighter?
I was chief for years.
$50,000
Now it's like nothing.
might be one guy
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
Maybe.
equipment. And let alone training, and if that equipment becomes contaminated, $50,000 is gone. So.
Yeah.
I'll reach out.
Should be 3-4 times that.
I'm very, it has to return.
Well, you know.
Yeah, yeah, or.
Dale,
Stuck with that.
Do you have any suggestions on the amount?
I'm of the mindset of going at least 10 times that at this point. Simply because $50,000, I'm guessing, is probably enough for one person, and one firefighting foam is not cheap. I know that.
No,
And to throw in training. And it's per department, so depending on, obviously. Are we talking the department that the battery storage is in?
I just looked at the mutual aid agreement.
I would say. Surrounding departments.
Yeah,
at
whatever the
least.
mutual aid agreement is.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Bare
you're talking
minimum,
multiple
I mean, that's-
departments.
you really think about it, that could be anywhere in the county, so that could be everyone
Yeah,
in the county.
Cause I
And
know.
adjacent counties,
Is yeah,
Yeah.
and Hamlin, we've been down Judson.
so,
So, I mean, and everywhere, you know.
Washington Township pulls from Hamlet and us,
Yeah,
Knox pulls from us too,
No,
I mean, it's just like. I agree, it needs to be a lot. 10 times, I agree.
So your suggestion could be as much as 500,000.
I would say I would defer to me talking to some fire chiefs and getting a number from them.
I don't think that's outrageous.
How much is a fire apparatus?
I know it's not cheap.
I mean,
Hamlet did spend a bunch of money getting some.
so. If we were to lose an apparatus in a fire.
Huh.
So now you've got replacement costs so
So
potentially be a lot of money.
They're
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
$500,000 is definitely a number.
So maybe for discussion for today, when we read this the second time, maybe you could have some information to share. That
I mean, I can talk to my chief.
Yeah.
Right.
Do I know?
Or-
I'm on the Hamlet, I'm on the fire territory board,
So,
so.
I mean, if you want that information, I can get that.
Yes.
we can do it.
I'll be more than happy to get them, I mean. That's fine with me.
okay, 7.6. Moving to section 8. 8.1.
I don't know which part this would go in it, but I don't even really see it in here. But I think that it is complete lunacy that the county is named in the decommission bond. That decommission bond should be with every property owner.
Mhm.
It's their property. They're the ones that signed the agreement. It's not up to the county to be big brother. I have never been on a project in the last 40 years where the owner of that property did not have the bond in their name. It doesn't even make any sense. Why would the county take that liability? And I know the thing's gonna be, well, what if something goes wrong? Well, if something went wrong, we're not the ones that signed the lease for that property, they did. So the property owners they have some responsibility in this too. And so I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be with each piece of property and with the property owner, and that's it. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be.
I agree with that, sir. And that goes for everything. The county is bonded for a homeowner instead of the homeowner being bonded when their home is being, like, it doesn't. The bond should be with the homeowner.
Yeah.
Not with us.
It doesn't make any sense.
I agree with
It's
that.
poor business. It's just.
Well, this kind of, I guess, goes into that vein a little bit. We've got in here decompaction of the soil up to 18 inches. I don't really feel like that's something the county needs to regulate. That'd be up to the homeowner and
Yeah.
whatever deal they.
Yeah, that would be whatever deal they
Right.
made with them.
And then reseeding with native or, again, that seems like that
Yeah.
would be part of the deal between the homeowner and the company doing the work. So that's just thoughts from me.
Because I know in the previous ones, it was always, the county was named and. And they threw the scrap value in there of the material as part of the decommissioning. Well, if they want to throw that in there with the homeowner and the homeowner wants to take it and take it to the junkyard and scrap it, that's fine. Who cares? But the county should not be in any agreement like that whatsoever. That was just crazy.
Unless they're working in our buildings, like the sprinkler
Yeah,
system.
no, that's a
little
Needs to be bonded.
But it's ours. It's in our name. It's not, we're not gonna put the bond in your name just because you're working there. It's a big thing.
The only thought I would have down the road is if you have a project that's 30 years and the homeowners are not in any type of financial situation to clean it up. And you've got these giant projects in your county, it could devalue homes if everybody walks away from it.
Well, that's why you have the bond tied to each piece of that property. So that bond, so property A has got 60 acres and there's solar. It says, okay, we looked at this. Okay, originally we think that it's gonna cost $1 million.
So you get the bond.
And then there's a bond posted for $1 million. And then just like ours now, it's reviewed maybe in 5 years. Okay, well now the price of everything's went up. Well, now it's like $1.1 million. And then whatever happens to that property, that bond follows that property. The county's not in here with some big bond we're pulling in, trying to go clean up everybody's property. That does not make one bit of sense.
I agree.
Mr. President. Yes, sir. I think what you want in here is probably a process where every 5 years, there's an evaluation as to what the cost would be to tear Humpty Dumpty down, so to speak. The bond increased annually every 5 to 10 years, for example. My advice is you do want the county listed because Bob Smith and Susie Smith are going to come and go. Perceptions that government is going to be there forever. And you need someone with the wherewithal that has the capacity to trigger that bond, to then hire people to undo what's there. That's why the county's listed.
But that's not the county's, that's not our, I don't feel how that should be our problem or our work. That
So-
is not part of county government, is not to oversee somebody's private land and fix something for a decision they made that was wrong. It'd be no different than somebody comes to John, they get a permit for a house. Oh, looks like the house is gonna fall down. Also, the county, we go in there and clean up their mess. There's no difference.
Oh, no, respectfully, it would be. So for example, if somebody has a property and it's fallen into a state of disrepair, we don't say to the next door neighbors, you need to tear it down and make it right again. No, we as the county have the ability to say you must repair it. If you don't, then we can tear it down. So that's not a blight. That same principle applies here, is that once you're done, so that it's not a blight, where there is a backstop for everyone in the community to make sure it can be undone.
Well,
Otherwise, if it falls on the neighbors don't do it, who's then gonna tell the neighbors to pull the bond?
well, the county could be a third person on it that could maybe trigger the bond being pulled, but it should not be in our name. It should not be in Stark County's name. That's not even good government.
I would think that it is good government, because that way you have an official body that's.
I don't think it is, but that's just my opinion.
Good discussion. All right, moving to 8.3.
You skipped 8.2.
Did we?
You bigger numbers or what?
Well,
So on 8.2, I would like to remove the removal of all subsurface components to the 3 feet level. I think everything should be removed. So striking that second bullet point would leave the first bullet point full removal of all battery enclosures, yada, yada, yada. I think the infrastructure should be removed. So that way if I have the battery structure on my property and we only removed to 3 feet level and now I sell it to Mark and Mark comes in and wants to build something and he
That hits
takes
up
down
4
and
feet.
finds something at 3 feet. So
I think it should be
I think fully moved.
back to the same condition it was before the vote.
Does this topic pertain strictly to the batteries? Or
Yeah,
the power,
That's what it is.
solar panel projects too?
No, that'll be the.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
8.3. 8.4. Eight point five. One of the things I had highlighted here was lien on the project parcel, which I don't know what that would look like. I don't know if we need to define that a little bit more, kind of a vague statement there. So that's just some constructive criticism on how this was put together. Anything else on 8.5? 8.6. 8.7. Moving into section 9. 9.1. I'm just gonna make a statement here. I really appreciate our crowd here today. You guys have been wonderful in letting us work through this, and I really appreciate that.
You haven't said the word.
Not yet.
Yeah, I think that's something that really needs to look at hard, because we had some pretty crappy road agreements in the past. And I know some of the other counties that I deal with, some of their road agreements, they are so much better. But that's a different conversation. This just says a road agreement.
Right. Okay, 9.2. 9.3. The one thing that I know was brought up a lot during solar, a couple of the roads were ground up and repaved later, but during construction, I know that some of the folks had trouble with dust. In here, it just mentions dust mitigation, but it doesn't really detail what that could look like. I guess in my opinion, I'd like to see just a little bit more detail as to what the county would like to see in that, to make sure that it's within reason. Because the developers thought on dust mitigation might be a bucket of water every 6 months, where homeowners that live there may say they want a water truck every day. Just some more discussion there.
If I could, sir. For this whole section, it says the applicant shall submit. From an administration and enforcement standpoint, I think it needs to specify that all of this needs to be submitted to the highway department. And then that way they're handling theirs, fire's handling theirs, you know what I mean? It breaks it up and then they all come together. And then I check for approvals from each department before I issue the permit. Instead of giving it all to me and then trying to divvy out who belongs to what. So I think fire should be going to the, I don't know, county fire chief or fire marshal. Roads should be going to highway, things like that. And then I received the reports from them saying it's go, no go, this is what they're missing and things like that. It takes a lot of the work off of me and places it with the departments that it belongs.
Seems like a reasonable request. Nathan, does that make
Makes
sense?
sense. Yeah.
out of all this stuff that we're going through here with these companies or whoever might want to put something up, is there a fine or penalty for a failure to comply?
We're getting to it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 9.4. The only thing I noticed was second bullet point. It is a little bit vague. It says entire construction period for at least 12 months post completion. I don't know if that's defining it enough to say at the end of the project, end of construction, or if there needs to be a little bit more language there.
There should maybe be something put in there along the lines of a warranty bond for 12 months following.
Is that a reasonable request?
Yeah, it is. And the reason why you want your 12 months is, say, for example, you're done in January, right? You can't do road work until April, May, June, film
Right.
letting, stuff like that. So you need that additional 12 months.
Yeah. 9.5.
9.5 is the best paragraph I've seen in this whole thing. Because I don't know if anybody knows what phaser ratings are, but I've done them throughout the state. And it's from 0 to 10. So the way it was before, it was made that if, I don't know, if it dropped, what if it dropped 1 point, you had to raise it up 2 points? Well, it doesn't matter. If a road's a 4, it's crap. So you can't pave it to a 6, because the 6 is still crap. But this right here takes care of all that.
So I guess my one question would be, can we legally require the company to improve the land better than it was when they got it?
Sure, Cass County's done it.
Okay.
They come in there,
I-
they come in there and they chemically stabilize all the roads.
Okay.
That they use.
Actually, this was a little bit before your time, but it kind of came up with one of the solar companies and it was a little bit gray. And then after the fact, we're all trying to sort it out as to what that, so I think what Todd's suggesting is a little bit more defined, so you have an understanding of what we're getting.
Not only for us, but solar companies,
For them,
or
too.
whoever, they know what it is. Before it was so, it was so indefinitive that nobody could make any sense out of it.
Actually, one of the solar companies here, I don't think he'll mind me bringing him up, but we actually ended up having about 4 meetings, 5 meetings probably to finally get it all squared away and had it been sorted out in the beginning,
There would be no meetings.
yeah, it wouldn't have even been a question.
Your point, you can't take a road from.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Okay, 9.6. 9.7. Section 10, 10.1. I think that's pretty boilerplate. 10.2. 10.3. 10.4. 10.5. 10.6. Okay, section 11, 11.1. When I did see you had something here, I don't know when you want to jump in with that.
When I was fine, I'm just comparing something here real quick. So yeah, mine just is that, each day a violation continued shall constitute a separate offense, and then economic hardship, project cost, financing challenges, or profitability considerations shall not constitute grounds for granting a variance. So that would be in our variance section, which is cleared out in 11.6, so we got ahead of ourselves.
Eleven point two. Eleven point three. Two things I have circled here is, second violation is $500 per day.
Pretty low.
That for a company of this
Pretty
size,
low.
that's pretty low without grading work in.
I would say 1,000 a day, and then the third violation should probably be 2,000 per day. That's my suggestion.
Any thoughts from the board?
At least 2,000
If
a
you-
day.
If you're gonna do it based on something, some percentage of the problem, it sounds like it maybe 10,000 a day.
Yeah,
Well, fine with
an
me.
incentive plan. For
They'll know for.
people from doing.
Agree with that.
Because there's a 30-day grace period.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they came in front of the county with a solution, but it was taking 31 days, I don't think the county would fuss about that, but if we're talking 2 years, you
Yeah.
know, that could get a little bit tricky. So I'm hearing from the board, maybe increase those a little bit. Is that something you can tweak a little?
Yeah, and then we'll also add in there that any costs incurred by the county in enforcement would be added into that.
Okay.
Yep.
11.4. $11.5. $11.6. $11.7. $11.8. Okay, so I think 12 starts, just kind of breaking down the language. I don't know if we need to, I see Gwen, you've got a couple of things written down.
Yeah, it would be appendix E. In the event of an imminent threat to public health, safety, or the environment, the county is authorized to take immediate action, including site access, operational shutdown, or other necessary measures without prior notice.
So you're suggesting that would be E.
Correct.
Makes sense.
Is this during the building or the operation phase?
Operation. But building's a good point too.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, but you don't need
Yeah.
it for building. I can go get an administrative warrant from the court and get access on it.
You could just
Oh,
put
really?
it, you could just word it at the issuance of the permit. And then you're covered no matter what.
Anything from 12.2? And then we have a pretty rough draft of a road use agreement. Agricultural soil plan. These are appendixes. Anything else from,
Does Stark County have a frost law?
Good.
we do, I know it was overlooked when they built the rusty towers and that pretty much destroyed Total Road.
It hasn't been enacted out in a long time.
I know.
I think.
Maybe something in here requiring permits during the period of frost time.
During the road use agreement, you mean?
Good idea.
Nathan, are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else from the appendix? Okay, I'm gonna open it up to the board here for any overall discussion. I think that was a really constructive. Yeah, I think that was really good. Yeah, I'm gonna open it up to the board to open it up for public comment. We need a motion.
I'll make a motion, to open it for public comment.
When need a motion?
I'll second the vote.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What, are we giving a time limit on speaking or are we just winging it?
We don't have a lot of people here.
Okay.
I think keep it within reason.
All right.
Couple minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, leave. Okay, no. Great.
I have to leave. I've got a benefit. I was supposed to brief you for a friend of mine's wife. So I did not know. This has been on the list for 2 weeks or 2 months. So there's a forum, so I can leave. You guys know how I feel.
Do you need your pen?
I thought maybe you wanted.
Looks awful.
Leaving it behind, huh?
Yeah, that's a $2,000 debt bill. Yeah, I'm taking that with me.
I'm just.
Purdue?
Yeah, Purdue.
I think I want for 4,000 right now.
Well, yeah.
Just a question on,
Okay.
is there an estimate that the planning commission has for a date or a goal to be able to get this worded to the forms that we're going to vote on it or whatever, what the next step would be?
Yeah, so likely we're gonna draft up some changes based on this discussion today, and we'll probably have a similar meeting to this, hopefully within a month or a reasonable amount of time.
So do you expect to be able to vote on it by the next month, or is it, how long?
We'll have another meeting similar to this and then open it to the public, make additional changes, and then if the board feels comfortable, we might go to public meeting after that.
And then a public hearing with.
Right.
Or.
Correct. I thought I saw your hand up.
Well, I was, but I thought maybe you were going in order.
Nope, I'm just following. I thought I seen yours second, so.
Okay, so I have a couple of things on this. For the definition of battery development. Just like solar battery developers talk in lease acres versus an actual use. Right now the draft limits 5 acres within fencing, which is good, but I'm not sure it clearly defines what counts. So should we look at defining the footprint to include battery containers, inverters, switchgear, substations, internal access roads, greater compacted areas, fire lanes, and pavement areas? That just prevents creative site layouts that they could do. So that was one thing, and I believe that would be under section. I tried to find it as you were going quickly, so I think that falls under 6.2. That was one. And then maybe under section 7.
So just pausing here real quick.
Yes,
So I think what I'm hearing you saying is a little bit more,
detail on what is included in that fenced in 5 acre. Just so that it's specific. And then under section 7, post-incident authority and mandatory reporting. We're requiring fire planning and response, but we don't explicitly require mandatory reporting of thermal events, fires, off-gas and forced shutdowns, even if it's contained. So I would suggest maybe written notice to the county plus fire department within 24 hours of any fire, thermal runaway, emergency shutdown, hazmat release, and then a follow-up report with corrective actions. Unfortunately, battery incidents often get minimized as contained events. And counties find out about it later. So that could be section 7. Technology change and repowering trigger. So what's missing? Battery chemistry changes fast. Project approved this. Lithium ion could later want different chemistry, higher density, larger containers. So I would suggest any change in battery chemistry, container size, energy density, or suppression method require amendment review, fire department sign off, and updated safety plans. Section 5.2, we talk about hiring an engineer. Nowhere are we stating, and I know in the old solar ordinance, at least solar, that the cost of us hiring that engineer fell to the developer, not the county. So I don't know if we can look at section 5.2 maybe.
I think that actually was caught in the solar
It
ordinance.
is a short in solar, yeah, I did see it there, but it wasn't in the battery.
Right.
Let's see. And then I just have a couple more. End of life hazardous material chain of custody. We are requiring the decommissioning, but we don't spell out where batteries go. So we might want to put things like certified disposal or recycling facility, documentation filed with county compliance with item, EPA hazardous waste rules. And I say that just because I know I've seen or found articles where counties kind of got stuck holding the bag. So they left, now all that stuff, the county's got to try to dispose. And then these are just some small things, cumulative fire risk. If multiple BESS sites are proposed in proximity to each other, we would probably want to allow our fire marshal or county to require a cumulative risk assessment because they're fairly close together. which increases the risk. It doesn't necessarily prohibit projects, it just really allows action to do those situations. Emergency access guarantee, I think Gwen covered this. I just had a note, all BES facilities shall maintain uninterrupted emergency access at all times, including during maintenance outages or site shutdowns. It helps avoid gate lock disconnect. And then noise measurement, somebody talked about it, 6.5, we have at property line, but we should probably clarify exactly where, is it a house, is it a window, and, you know, what's the time window for them to be able to be either above, back of the EDA, and then what our enforcement method might look like if that isn't correct. And then I just had one other thing that I didn't have coming in, the PASER rating section. I'm not sure, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna look at our lawyer. We ran into issues with solar where a PASER rating, once you get to a certain point, we learned with our roads. And I'm looking at Chris in front of me because he knows exactly what the corner going, where if a PASER rating, once you get to a certain point, there is no taking it back to the old PASER rating. So are we making sure that we're not just trying to get it back to where it was, because you can't do that once you get to a certain point, so I don't know.
I think we did touch on that.
Yeah. That's all
I'm not
do you
sure.
want my list?
Well, we have it on
Would it
record,
be easier?
but
Oh, okay,
would you mind saying your name? I'm not sure.
sorry, Roberta Lee.
Okay, and Tom,
Bush.
okay, you spoke first, and then Roberta Lee. Okay, anybody else? Sir?
I got a few. Eric Cager for the record. I would, first of all, like to thank the gentleman on the left and you gentlemen for saying you guys are the voice of this county. When you were looking at, as we found out with solar, you cannot have enough regulation. You tell them what there's going to be 3 buildings, 6 months later, they add 9 because they have the rights. And obviously, this gentleman here has done some homework that obviously maybe is overlooked by this county. The safety rating cannot be overlooked. How we are allowed to carry on any type of solar or data center when we are already being dinged by falling behind on our wetland conservation acts. And now we're going to be doing drainage. And now we're going to be doing all this other stuff for the solar or whatever the battery terminal is. And at the end of last year, we were talking about data centers and we have a moratorium in on this stuff. Safety cannot be enough. You guys talk about your permits of a 1-year permit. I work at a mill. I work with thousands of tons of equipment every day. On a big job, we have a permit for 6 months work. At every month, we have to have a audit to say we are now at this level. When you're talking with a homeowner permit, it's a different story. You're talking with a business and a corporation who throws billions of dollars away to make fines and issues disappear on all levels. You guys need to stop. You guys have a limit. Excuse me for backing up here. On area 61A, you guys have the limit of $250 million. The data center, the smallest one they put in is 1.6 billion. You're stopping your fines at $250,000? No, that should not be. If they're doing a $10 billion project and you're taxing them at 5%, that 5% should go all the way to the top. Don't cut them the brakes because they will cut you off and leave you, just like all these other counties that have happened with data and solar. And you guys at the start of this meeting touched on the carbon capture. That is another load of crap that this county does not need. The county, whether the county doesn't want to look into it, or the county is blind to it, or the county is being taken care of, the only way I can say it, this county, along with many other counties, are being destroyed by the roads. The water is gone. The sanity of the people who live next to these areas, gone. The street light, the noise pollution, the list goes on. And people who will sit there and say, oh, this is good for the county. Solar wasn't good for the county. However the hell we got, excuse me, however we got on that list of solar being good for this county, it's not. Your utility rates, it's going on right now with NIPSCO. Who do you think is covering that solar project? Everybody here raise your hand because your tax dollars are, your utility bills are. But we jumped on the bandwagon. And as you said yourself, as we found out later, the moratorium is not enough. You guys are talking about this project for batteries. It's not enough talk. You guys really need to do some homework and some opening of the eyes to realize these batteries are garbage. Carbon capture, bigger garbage. Green energy, 100% garbage. You know why? Because your tax dollar and every person's in here tax dollar pays for that. So if you want to stop a limit of $250 million when the company's building a $10 billion industry, you're foolish. That money is all coming out of our tax dollars anyhow. If we're going to take it and we're going to pay for it, we need to take full advantage of it. The wells around here, probably everybody here's got a well. The data center comes in, I guarantee within a 2-mile radius, you will lose every drop of water you have. It'll look like mud. People are not opening their eyes. They're not coming into these meetings enough to let the county, the city people know that the county, a lot of the county people are a lot smarter because of what we're seeing going on around it. And how some counties, this county, LaPorte County, Marshall County actually stopped their data center. They didn't even moratorium. They just said, no, we ain't doing it because of this. I don't recall seeing any of you guys there at that meeting. I was the first one. Nobody in this county on the board, as far as I know, has personally gone to any of these other meetings where these people, the homeowners, talk about where these companies come into their life. Oh, it's the county. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Go to Porter County. Go to LaPorte right now and talk to the people who are living within a 2-mile radius of what they're building. It's not good. The county doesn't care. I hope, and I know that somewhere in December that one of the meetings I attended, there was somebody, oh, it was at the school. A young lady said, I would like to see this county be one of the counties that's not wrapped up like all the other counties. I think there's enough people in here. We got bitten about my solar. Your utility bills are going up. There's only certain people whose utility bills are not going up. There are only certain people here in this county that got paid, aka bought off for going solar. Their utility bills are also going up, but they're getting a kickback from that. These batteries are no good. I wish there were more people like this gentleman over here in the corner who's actually doing some hard work and some investigation and learning. Because the meeting that we had at the school never should have happened. It should have been, we ain't doing it. Now I understand that whatever green energy crap, government subsidized crap that they're feeding down this county's throat, it needs to stop. It really does. Because these counties are being destroyed. Put solar in Gary. Put solar on the roof of every Amazon building.
Yes.
Put solar in every parking lot. Don't take away our farmland. You can't eat it. You can be bought off of it. And next thing you know, you're going to take your house and your taxes are already going up again. Solar brought us nothing but for the people who sold their land. What, honestly, can I ask a question? What has the county got out of solar? Our roads have been destroyed. And like this gentleman here said, once they reach a certain level, the agreement is you only bring it back to the level that they were at when you started. No, we were class 5 ratings, not once. Put this up to the board to make sure that we don't get a half-ass road like we got, that it originally was, make it a good one. If it takes a new bridge, if it takes new culverts, do it. Not at the county's expense either. It needs to be done with Reef and Riley, do it equitable, because the county will say, oh, we can smudge this or we can smudge it there. I've lived here for 35 years. The county roads, just like this past winter where we had our snow, I could have threw more shovels full of dirt out than what this county did at intersections. I slid through 3 intersections the other day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a safety hazard. And now that's what our county will do. If the county is held responsible, just like the man said with the bonds and the trust for the county. The county doesn't need to be a part of it. The county needs to hold the company responsible, not the county be responsible. If the county knows, have a meeting with whoever's putting in this battery, and they say this road's bad, fix it now to where it's not gonna be destroyed, maintain it, and it better be that way when you leave. Not have it be destroyed, have 2 to 3, 4, 5 years of people riding on shit roads, and then fix it at the very end. Oh, that's great, looks great. And how long, and who's gonna maintain it? We are. Back to us paying the bill for them destroying it. It doesn't need that.
I'm not trying to cut you off here. We got a lot of people that
Oh, I
want
know.
to talk,
Sorry.
so I appreciate your opinion on it, and that's very insightful, so thank you. I actually had a ma'am in the back here, if you don't mind.
Margarita Hope, I guess I stand up. I'm a teacher in North Judson, and we have solar in our land. And so I respect his opinion, but there are so many things like I go through those roads, we see solar all on 200 going towards Highway 10. The roads are not bad. There is nothing, I mean, I don't see anything, even when they had the construction. There was no issues. I would go to work using that road. So there were so many points. I'm not gonna say anything about batteries because I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything about data centers because I don't know, but I can tell you about solar. They say, there is no solar money. Yeah, there is solar money. And I'm not talking about solar money for the landlords. I'm talking about solar money for property taxes. Before we had solar, the property taxes were, and you guys can check, you can check property taxes. It was 3,000 for 140 acres. After solar, it was 17,000. So right there, just in 130 acres, it was $13,000 more.
Yeah.
What about the income tax for the landowners that are getting the money? The ones that live in Stark County, they pay income tax. So what about all the projects that the solars have done with the giving money to different projects? That there is money, and I don't even want to talk about property rights. But also they said the farmland. We still have in those 119 acres, half is hay and half is solar. And in those where the solars are, the sheep go and eat the grass. So it's still agricultural. If you want to see pictures, I have pictures of our land where it's hay, half is hay and soybeans also. And excuse me, the other half is solar. Sorry, I get nervous. So I see many good things about the solar. So if you guys want to talk more, happy to share with you. I wouldn't call you foolish, any of you, for whatever. I know that the decision were made, maybe, I don't know, but I believe whoever decided, whoever was in taking the decisions there, making the decisions, they were doing it for the good of the county, for the money that was bringing, and for the property right for the landowners. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
got a question to rebut that, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
How much money does the county get from the solar, Doral?
How much money?
How
What?
much money does the county get from
That, we have an economic development agreement that.
Yeah, how
pays
much?
$1 million a year, escalated for the 20 years.
So,
In addition, let me finish the
Okay.
answer. So in addition, the property tax assessment has gone up. Roughly another $500,000 in property tax comes into the county that over the prior existing condition. In addition, there's the landowner payments. In addition, then there's charitable contributions that are made that this year, the county parks, to the fire departments, to a whole litany of other organizations in the county. So, over the course of the project, there would be tens of millions of dollars.
so the county the taxes that the landowner pays, isn't that state and federal?
No, there's money that comes. to
I
the
know,
county.
I know the county gets
County
a
property.
pinch, a percentage, I know that. What, 3% or whatever. Anyway, the rest of that tax money goes to the state of Indiana.
Yeah, and then the county gets money back from the state for projects, but So the way that it's addressed to benefits the county is that the economic development agreement, that money, that $1 million a year stays in the county at the county's discretion.
Okay, I have one more hand here.
Okay, I'm Lisa Dan with the Center for Energy Education. So a couple of things, I did write an op-ed on BESS. And I will share what, I didn't bring it up, I didn't know there were so many members, so maybe we can just. We can share over here. Okay, if board members can. But I'd also like to invite you to a workshop we're doing that includes a bus tour. It's going to be around agrivoltaics specifically. So we are part of a federal Department of Energy grant with Purdue to do workshops and education, regional workshops around the state on battery storage, solar, wind. And so take a look, I will work through the planning office to get more information to you about when that's gonna be. It's gonna be April 16th out at the Bassett Fire Department. So would like to invite you to that, but my talking point that and basically all I wanted to mention is regarding the ordinances that you guys are working on, and bless you all for the jobs that you're doing with everything. And everything being considered by the Planning Commission, including solar battery storage, data centers, and anything else that comes along. Just want you guys to think about, does the county have a plan for recovering the tax revenue that's going to be lost as a result of Senate Bill 1? It will be good for property owners, homeowners, when our tax rates come down, but it will be very detrimental to our local governments. While the law is good for homeowners, property owners, it will result in serious losses for local taxing units, with approximately 4.5 million in losses annually for Stark County. By making these ordinances so restrictive, I'm talking setbacks, I'm talking different parts of these ordinances, by making them so restrictive. As an example, the setbacks, you're telling developers and any investor that wants to come to our community with any kind of business, that basically we're not open for business. And that you really don't care about the economic benefits or these investments that they want to bring to small rural communities. My hope is that serious thought and consideration is being made by the Plan Commission and all elected officials as you're drafting and approving these ordinances, because we do need revenue coming into our communities so that we can better ourselves, so that we can have a better quality of life, so that our wages can increase. So just something to think about. I used to be economic development, so this is kind of my economic development hat. We need to be open for business, whether it's a new manufacturer coming to town, a small business, or a large development that can bring in millions and millions in tax dollars to the community. So just something to think about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we need a motion to close.
Oh, he got one.
One more, real quick. Sorry, I'm a little bit late to the party. My name is Dan StarkeCo. I'm from the Land Owner Coalition. We've been here multiple times, whether myself or my colleague Lillian, talking in favor of private property rights for landowners.
I'm sorry, where were you from?
The Land and Liberty Coalition. We are a nonprofit, supported by farmers, landowners, and stakeholders who are interested in preserving private property rights and getting more electrons put onto the grid. Just a few comments on the battery storage ordinance. 5.6, I believe, was the section about the renewal of permit requiring a developer to reapply for that permit if it goes over a year. And I know Todd had suggested no extension on that permit. And there was a comment, I don't know who from the board said, well, something must be wrong if it takes more than 12 months to start construction. And you're absolutely right, something might be wrong. It might also be out of their control. It might have something to do with the grid and their place in the queue and being able to get those electrons onto the grid, because they are held, in this case, MISO, they are held
to standard by MISO or PJM, the grid operators, to wait for their spot onto that grid so that they can actually put the energy onto there. So I would ask that the board and the county allow for a little bit of leniency when it comes to that, especially in cases where it is actually out of the control of the company who is developing that project. There were also a few comments on the payments to the fire departments about the fire foam. From a personal standpoint, I think you guys would be better off having the fire department go to the developer and saying, hey, this is what we need. This is you know, maybe you need $200,000 or $500,000. That development company might be willing to help you out because they're incentivized greatly to make sure that, first off, their project doesn't catch on fire. And second off, that if there is an issue, that those assets are protected as quickly as possible. So, you know, I would suggest maybe if there is a development company that you're close to talking to, you know, ask them, you know, would you be willing to talk to the fire department and see exactly what they need when it comes to these types of things. I know there's some companies that we've worked with in the past who have been willing to come in and do training and make donations to the fire department in order to make sure that they have the equipment and the ability to take care of any issue that may occur, because that company might not be 100% here all the time. They want to make sure that that asset is as secure as possible. So just a suggestion on that. And I know there was a back and forth about the decommissioning bond. I agree with your lawyer here. I think it is best to sit in the hands of the county, because properties change hands over time. You know, the county has a little bit more of a hold on, you know, that money and what can be done with it once, you know, it is needed, rather than having, you know, sometimes these projects, probably not best as much, but solar, sometimes these projects have 40 or 50 different landowners that are involved, and to have all those different peoples and all that different, you know, all those different variables in a single bond, I think it's better off, you know, sitting here in the county. But that's all I have for battery storage.
Real quick. All right, I'll be brief. My name's Dennis Spoke. I'm part of the Mammoth Project. I have land in the Mammoth Project, and we have houses in the county. But I was raised here as a farm boy. So I understand, and we got to a certain point. My father got 88 years old, and he said he'd like to sign up for solar. And so he wanted to slow down, and I'm retiring. So as far as the solar, one thing that, so the solar companies have been honest. And so I think what they've said they're going to do, they will do. As far as the batteries, we don't have batteries there, but I noticed that in 8.7, I think there were some really severe penalties if you didn't act quickly. And I wondered if some of those penalties, us as landowners, if the solar companies, if they're not acting quickly, are the landowners going to be subject to those penalties?
No, sir. I would find the developer themselves. For example, Dunn's Bridges, because they're the newest ones.
Because when I saw that, it wasn't really clear.
No.
So it's like somebody's going to have to pay. And so that's what I was just, if that can be made clear that you know, there is a bond that will take it. And if there's an accident, we have with Farm Bureau, we got a blanket coverage on insurance, and with the solar company, they got a blanket in case of an accident. There's coverages with insurance. So that's above and beyond whatever the agreement is, the insurance, we have that as well, 2 different types. So we're talking about in case of a big accident, which we don't have batteries on the Mammoth project. Anyway, I'd just like to say, that's what I wanted to ask. When I saw that, it looked like pretty threatening.
No, it would be on the permit holder.
Okay.
So the developer would pull the permit.
But anyway, I thank you for your time.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
I believe that there are two farms in Stark County that are owned now because solar panels and solar companies didn't complete their work on a timely basis. And there's three farms in Pulaski County that are now owned, have $1 billion or better between the conglomeration of everybody who's in debt. The companies now own that farm. The landowner is not responsible for it, but the landowner cannot touch it because the debt was not paid and the work was not completed on time by the company.
Okay, well, again, we're discussing battery storage here, so.
Well,
I hate to bring
I'm
it-
coming on what he said.
Right.
So as far as the penalties go, when the
I'd
company.
like to make a motion to close public comment.
Okay, we got a motion to close public comment. Second from Dale. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's regroup here at 7:30. Is that okay with you? Folks?
Yeah.
Take a few minutes, use the restroom.
Favorite chair right there.
Lisa, what time is it?
Prior, but generally it's like a 9 to 3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the workshop will be. So.
Yeah.
So this one is one of the step, which is the Purdue action, and it's gonna be a little bit similar to that, but it's gonna have a. It'll be more. Information about I think the website and look at the sheep grazing. They have guinea pigs there grazing, or even they're even putting chickens out. So that's pretty much what that is. State doing these regional workshops. Did one in North County in November. And battery storage. So there's a site county and we went inside their events. The battery storage facility was in. And the time we were grazing sheep, they had their dogs out there, their tents and sheep, and just, very cool, very, very serene setting. And no noise. The decibels in the area. I think for battery storage, I can't say for this, but yeah, we would never have it. And these, particular workshops are so planners. Yeah, right. I committed these days, to Commissioners Council. County. This is certainly, so we start something. Also that is like. And they're working with Purdue. So if you guys can be there, or if some of the folks can be there, that would be.
Yeah.
When you're available. Later. Since I don't have the email addresses and I'll just funnel everything through Amber.
Yeah, that
She can just send the flyer out to everybody.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not.
Used to it. We're gonna do this. My last job, they were like, they wanted us to move it. So there was that.
Got it, Greg. I had people that point were high.
Probably less.
Next person. Saying something you don't find out.
I have a question for you.
Nice memories. Nice talking to you.
All right.
Oh, Mark's still off.
He was on.
He's gonna turn, oh yeah, he's on, he's coming. Did you get one of these from Lisa?
I do have thoughts.
I'll wait on you. No, I'm trying to. But now, wait.
All right, we're gonna resume the meeting. I had a request, I think it's a good one, from somebody in the audience. They'd like us to open it up to public comment on this, before we get to the end, so some folks can go home if they'd like to. I think that's a great suggestion.
I'll make a motion to open back up public comment.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? All right, open for public comment on, the solar project we're starting on next.
Mike, I have one I'd like to read that was emailed in. If I
Go ahead.
can, public comment.
Sure.
So he had hoped to attend the planning commission meeting this evening in person, but was unfortunately not able to. He is online viewing it, but I'll go ahead and read this. He's writing to express his serious concerns about the proposed draft solar energy systems ordinance. As a multiple generational farm owner in Stark County, this ordinance doesn't regulate solar development. It is de facto prohibition disguised as oversight. The graduated setback requirements make projects impossible on most rural properties. If my land borders non-participating landowners on 3 sides, which describes most farms, I lose 1,000 feet from each property line before placing a single panel. Add 500-foot road setbacks, 100-foot drainage setbacks, mandatory vegetative buffers, the 100-acre project cap, and a 3% township limit, and what remains are unusable fragments. This effectively gives adjacent landowners veto power over what I can do with my own property. My family has made decisions about crops, livestock, and land improvements for generations based on what makes sense for our operation, not on whether neighbors approve. This draft ordinance reverses that fundamental principle of property ownership by allowing punitive setback requirements to transfer effective control of my land to neighbors who don't own it. I support reasonable standards for safety, drainage, and decommissioning, but this ordinance makes projects physically impossible, which isn't regulation, it's prohibition. For my family, the solar project represents the difference between keeping our farm intact or being forced to sell. I urge the Plan Commission to revise this ordinance to protect county interests without forcing family farms like mine to sell out to large corporate farms. I'd be welcome to discussing this position of my family's situation with anyone. Please feel free to reach out.
Okay, and I might mention too, I didn't when we started this. This is actually the first time this board has even reviewed this. I'll just make mention of that. We have not discussed it at all. We've been tied up with some other projects. Nathan drafted this for us and had it put together. I don't know, back in November, I think. And this is just the first time we've reviewed it as a board at all. So there's changes to come here, but I just want to make everybody aware that we're just starting the process of working on this. Sorry, Deb, go ahead.
Oh, did you want to go? Let him go first.
We can do rock, scissors, paper, if it helps.
My name's Chris Pine, I was Doral. So, and I'll try to keep this brief, but earlier this month, we had a regular call with our CEO, whose name's Nick Combs, and he said something that resonated with me. He was talking about what our company's values are and about how that is a commitment to our community is one of our values. And it's a 30-year plus commitment because our business model is to own and operate for the duration. So we have a vested interest in the county being successful. And anyway, Nick said, all of us want the same thing: safety, security, and prosperity. And working together, we can get there. And so it's with that spirit that I want to make these comments. We have common interests, right? And we've been operating the Mammoth project here in Stark for over 18 months. It's been live. You've all been by the facility, some of you live next to it. And again, I want to extend the offer to tour the project so you can get up close and ask questions that come up often in these meetings. And my question is, what's not working about it? Now, we've heard concerns about noise and visual screen. All right, we can work on those things. We can address those things. I also say that what is working is it's generating significant revenue for the county through the economic development payments. We talked about that, $1 million a year escalated, increased property tax payments, lease payments to landowners. And because we're successful, we've been able to make serious contributions to charitable organizations in this county. On top of this, our business model is all about dual use, about agrivoltaics. We've heard about the ability to grow hay, beans, raise sheep. And what essentially we're doing with our project is converting ground that has been in corn and beans to pasture. And we're grazing sheep on that. We've got 1,250 sheep now. We want to get that to 2,000 sheep by the end of this year. And that's going to continue to increase. Now, what's happening because of that? Because of that effort and other solar projects in this area that are using sheep to graze their land, there's a meat processing facility that's going to be built from scratch here in this county that's going to be able to process beef and pork and lamb. That's bringing in another business to the county that wasn't otherwise here. And that's a spin-off agricultural business that is going to happen. We'd like to expand our current project, the Mammoth project in Stark, by an additional 180 megawatts. Right now, it's a 400 megawatt facility. We want to expand that. We're going to need 1,800 acres to do that. All right, under the current ordinance. We've secured by and large landowner agreements for most of that need, not all, but most. And importantly, we've secured an interconnection agreement with MISO, which is the grid operator, to get the power onto the grid. Okay. Our reputation for building quality solar projects is well known in the finance and investor community, so we don't believe we're going to have any issue getting the project financed. Frankly, we're fine with the subsidies and all that going away because producing solar is the cheapest cost of making electricity over any other kind of generation source. Okay. So our concern, we've got land, we've got the grid connection, we have the financing. Our concern is now the local ordinance and permit. There are 4 versions of this solar ordinance that have been discussed. The current enacted version that's on the books now, a version that was circulated by the planning administrator about a year ago, a version that Roberta developed in the last late May timeframe, and then Mr. Vick's version. Unfortunately, this last version is simply not workable. And I don't think we could build I know we can't build a project under the proposed ordinance. I don't think anybody can. So it's a de facto prohibition. There's a number of concerns that we have. Excessive setbacks that aren't waivable. And more to the point, there's no credible justification of a 1,000-foot setback versus a 150-foot setback. There's no demonstrated data that says this is going to make it less onerous. The parcel acreage size restriction of 100 acres. As I said, we're going to need 1,800 acres to build the project that the grid operator has said that we can build. And then a limit on the amount of solar in the township of 3%. So I took a look at the projects that have been permitted or built in Stark County. In terms of the total acreage, right? It's about 8,686 acres. So just under 8,700 acres of land in Stark County is solar. That's about 6% of the ag ground. There's 145,000 acres of ag land in the county. We'll say 8,600 is in solar. 6%. We're not talking about, papering the whole county with solar. If you add 1,800 acres onto that 8,600, you're gonna be at about 7% of the county's land. Additional restrictions in the proposed ordinance range from a prohibition of using herbicides and non-organic fertilizers. And we don't generally use that stuff, but maybe in spot areas. But would you make that same requirement over the 140,000 acres of farm ground that you can't use herbicides? I mean, why are you having the solar projects do something that you're not asking farmers to do? There's requirements on the safety side of a fire hydrant at every major entrance. Have we talked to, and I think when we talked to the fire chief about foam for the batteries, talk to them, do they think they need a fire hydrant at every entrance? Because it's not gonna add value in terms of safety. We want county roads to be as good as they can be, and we can demonstrably prove that the roads after the Mammoth project's been built are better than they were when we started. We have gotten $1.5 million of additional grant. We have data that shows that. And I mean, we have the data.
I don't wanna step in on you, but that's not true. I mean, no, I'm just being kind here, boy, and I'm gonna just say. County Road 350 over by where I live. It's so terrible.
That's gravel.
It is now. It was a reasonable county road. But now it's so terrible. The road on my road is on 700 south, where I live, where the trucks and the stuff went up and down. And then nobody ever came out and fixed them roads. They're horrible. And the county's not gonna do it because it's really not their responsibility because the company was supposed to do that. Now, I don't wanna step on anything here, but truthfully is, I'm not against the natural energy, okay, myself, okay, you're talking to Ralph. There's many other corporations that are trying to do this and you're representing one company, okay? And I personally know your CEO, I told you, Nick, I got his phone number in my pocket right now. And I can call him up. And he's a very nice guy. And he is very prompt and I like him a lot. And I have nothing against the business part of it. But the problem here that you're selling is all the participants that are involved in it are happy. They're making good money too, they make a lot of money off their properties and they have a right. But the fact is the overall, if you took the percentage of the people who live in Stark County, they're against it. Because their electric bills have gone up. They have seen nothing out of it. And it's an eyesore. And they're against it, but I understand what you're saying, but as far as this road thing goes, no, they have not.
I know on the road that the grant that we got, the county, also address roads. There's more roads to be paved under that grant that's happening. The highway person here.
But they should be paid by like someone else, said Ethan Riley or someone like that and done right. Our counties can do that, and they did it on County Road 450, which is east of me a mile. And it's way better than it was because it was gravel and stuff, but we don't have the facilities like Reed and Riley or somebody does to put down a good 6 inches. That's all I'm saying is paving something and paving something is two different words.
Okay, what the way that the road agreement is set up is not us paying it. The money.
Right, yeah, you're just talking business.
Yeah, well, the money goes to
understand
the
that.
county and the county.
Right,
pays
you're
roads.
talking business and this is what's supposed to happen, but it's not.
Well, Kenny, I'm gonna step in just real quick here. I've been involved with this since the beginning.
Oh,
And they did get us a grant, but we couldn't pave it all in 1 year.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's separated out. So some of the roads you mentioned, I did write them down here. I can get back to you on that. But they may be scheduled to be paved next year.
Okay.
There was only so much time that they could get the roads paved. So I think, I don't know, Chris, was it about 50-50
Yeah,
or
it
this
was,
year?
yeah, divided.
Well, it's my misunderstanding then, and that's all.
Right.
I'm just going by what I see and live by.
Right, understood.
So I apologize if I
No,
jump to conclusions.
I want I wanted to reiterate that we want to work with you guys to develop something that's workable. We had provided a suggestion, this agrivoltaics overlay district. As one way of addressing some of the concerns that we've heard and would allow the company, allow the county to develop this thing. So I would like to talk with you more about that overlay district. That might be part of the solution. We got it reviewed by a number of people and it seems like it might be a workable idea. We are concerned about the permitting process. You basically have 3 different entities other than council and the commission that have veto power over the proposed project. And the way that the ordinance is crafted now, we would be investing millions of dollars without any certainty of a project being built before we would know that. And there needs to be some recognition that if you truly want to enable a company to build a commercial solar facility in the county, that there's got to be some understanding of the economic way of building a project. Happy to work with you guys, maybe through a TRC meeting. And again, I would encourage, Ms. Dan talked about a workshop that's coming up to get out and see the project that you guys are regulating. So with that, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chris. And I'm not sure if we mentioned your name
Chris Klein,
for the record. Deb, I'm sorry, you were.
That'd be waffle. If I'd known he was taking that long, I'd have taken my turn.
Come on.
So I want, first of all, to thank you for projecting the ordinance so we can see it, and you even made it a little bigger halfway part right in the beginning. I thank you all for reading through it in the public, at least partial reading. I thank you for the good sound. And I thank Mr. Eagle for admitting one thing. I don't want battery storage here. That's transparency. Instead of writing an ordinance that no company could live with, all we've heard during the last couple election cycles and all this solar stuff, transparency, 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 but you're working on a non-workable ordinances to stop these instead of being transparent and saying we don't like it, it's not good for our community, we don't respect property owners and give them the benefit of the doubt ever. I have never heard anything in here about, you know what, we respect people who paid millions of dollars for their properties, hundreds of thousands of dollars in local property taxes, stained, chapped hands, worked hours and hours and hours. Nobody has said, we respect your rights. There's one commissioner all along that has said that, and there's maybe 2 other people. Yes, this is personally, I have no vested interest in further solar projects. Both my grandfathers were farmers. I didn't want to cry. I saw how hard they worked to get every piece of property they had. There's nothing left of my one grandpa's farm for anybody down in the generations. My dad farmed. He had to buy his dad's property from his 5 sisters. Nobody handed him anything. My husband got 60 acres from his dad. He worked all his life with his father. Nobody handed, 60 acres, but for a lot of hard work. People think these landowners this stuff falls from heaven in their laps, and we're a bunch of rich, selfish people. You know what we are? A bunch of honest, hardworking people that deserve a little more respect. And I'm sorry for the new members, but we've been through this for years. We've been accused of hiding, taking, conning, bribing, and everything. And then we have to sit here and watch you look at an ordinance that isn't even workable. Be honest. Don't manipulate landowners with ridiculous policies that don't work. Be honest. Just say we don't want any more. Fight us for fools. And I wish other property owners were here. Where are they? Why do I even speak up for them? Because of my heritage. And I've watched my sons and my husband work day and night for everything they own. And you all sit nice fancy chairs telling us what we can do and can't do. yes, we want to protect our neighbors. We protected our neighbors. We talked to our neighbors. We are doing that. Don't throw us all in the same pot.
Sir?
Thank you. I'm an animated, emotional speaker. But I love you.
Larry.
All right, I'm gonna go over here so I can at least see all of you. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Most of the stuff I was gonna say has been said by a few other people preceding me. So, lived here all my life, raised my family here. Now my two boys are full-time farmers in the county. They plan on doing the same. My dad was a full-time farmer. Born and raised here since 1900 or whatever. And we know farming, we know agriculture, we know Stark County. And Stark County has been a poor county. We did not have the industry that we have in, say, Lake and Porter and St. Joe counties. We had to depend on agriculture in this county. And when we do depend on agriculture, it's on my back, it's on my neighbor's back. And what we've had to do over the last 50 years is I diversify. I look at the different crops. I do a thing called an ROI, return on investment, on each of those crops before I elect to plant specialty crops. I've done an ROI multiple times on solar. And that's one of the things I'd like to diversify in. After paying and trying to pay for property for the last 50 years, I think that's my property right to be able to make that election. There's a lot of new members here on the commission today. I'd recommend you all attend that workshop. I know, well, Mark, for example, has attended workshops, gone on site. My wife and I have been on site. A matter of fact, I have a privately owned, myself, my farm, my family owns an acre of solar panels. We have run our farm on those solar panels and done it very successfully. It's 7 years and 1 month old to the day now. And we are actually, they have done everything we could ask them to do and even more. I don't have dead birds lying on the ground underneath the solar panels. I don't have polluted water, as we've been accused of with solar panels, that flows down the ditches. That stuff don't happen. I've witnessed it for 7 years. I would welcome any of you to come out and view my solar panels. And we've talked about agrovoltaics. That's something that I have investigated on for 4 years. I've seen it done very successfully in Pulaski County on the boat farm. I don't raise livestock, but I do any kind of crop. And we've talked to different companies that are interested in agrovoltaics. That would give me the opportunity as a farmer to go into the solar panels and plant a crop and harvest a crop, and still, if that didn't work profitably, we still have the option to take the, they call it mitigation of basically the weeds. So if we're growing a crop, we're going to mitigate the weeds or the growth. Because in solar fields, you can't have anything over 36 inches high. And most of the weeds that I know of all grow that tall. So those are opportunities that come back to the farmer, or to at least agriculture in Stark County, which is predominantly still agriculture. That's what the zoning is on all this property, agriculture. Just because there's solar panels there doesn't make it not agriculture. Agriculture will incorporate. If there's a demand, we will have the supply for that demand. Honeybees, prime example. Everybody likes honey. That's one option, just different than what we've heard before. Couple other points, and I don't know what your weed mitigation ordinance for solar panels is going to be. I've heard talk, no chemicals. We the farmer have used chemicals very successfully. They're all clear. They're all monitored. Roundup, to say one, I mean, it's took a lot of heat just from people. But all in all, those are chemicals that we use next to you all the time, either flown out or applied by the ground, by the planter, by fertilizer applicators. That's the way of life here in Stark County. And those applications, I'm sure, if allowed in a solar field, the applicator is gonna have a custom applicator license. Or in that case, I probably licensed. The people that I have run sprayers on my farm all have private applicator licenses. We go to school every year and commit a half a day to a day of time to listen and take tests. It's all safe stuff. And one thing I wanted to point out that I don't think it's been said before at this meeting is you've got solar panels, which I'm gonna say it's a project that once it's starts, it'll be finished in 18 months to maybe 2 years. That's the construction project. What construction project wherever, whether it be in our industrial park, out in our cornfields, when I built my grain lag and my grain bins, what project did not contain abnormal noise or abnormal traffic to haul supplies in and haul people in? Once the construction is done, then you have that 30 to 45-year period where we're back to what we would call quietness. You know, nothing out of the ordinary. So I guess that's basically all I wanted to say is just encourage you new members especially. If you haven't done your homework on this, there's a lot to be done to really bring you up to speed. And attend what was offered to you about an hour ago. Very educating. I've been there. Thank you.
How does he stay so calm? They say opposites attract.
Yeah. I'm not sure you said it, Larry, but that was Larry Waffle for the record.
You've heard sheep mentioned, right? It's my brother is Billy Bo. I'm Dennis. My brother is the one that owns the sheep herd. And he also has 4 mowers. So he's in charge of keeping the mowing down, and he's also the one that makes hay outside the fence. So some of I guess what I'm trying to say is he's got 1,200 females, and they're all bred. And so we hope to have 1,200. Some of them have doubles, some of them have singles, some of them may lose some. But in a 3-year period, he hopes to have, just with natural reproduction of the animals, close to 5,000 animals, which can cover all the solar panels of Mammoth Project, including the Mammoth Project that just over the county line, which is also the boat farm, which will also include that. So you say, well, what does this have to do? I'm just telling you that if you want to see it, it's there. The animals are there. My brother is the one that does the mowing. He does the sheep herding. He's asked me to help a little bit, but you know, I help when I can. But it's real. What we're saying is real. This is real agriculture. So there are some people here that absolutely hate solar no matter what. Okay. But like Larry, I was raised a farm boy in this county. And so my brother's continuing agriculture with sheep. They've even got pigs that eat grass. They're called cooney pigs. But it takes a while for that cooney pig herd to grow. But the sheep herd's going to expand in 3 years. It's supposed to. And you understand, he keeps all the females and then they get bred at the end of the year. So.
And he hired many people.
And so he's got it's a family business and it's going to be increasing. I guess what I'm standing here to say is one thing Chris mentioned is, please, you guys are going to set the rules about the setback. And some of the other rules. There's another project in Pulaski County that's been approved by the commissioners and also the county council. I know this isn't your business. But anyway, it's right across the road from the Mammoth project. What they're asking for is just a little more land in the very corner of the county that's in the country that's remote. And so to make the setbacks equal to what Mammoth project is now would be good. That would be, I guess, the future sheep pasture. It would be future solar field for, I don't know, 1,200 acres or so. But that 1,200 acres is not all. And if you guys really want to see it, drive out to 200 East Trunk Farm Road, drive south, and just look at the extra land that's around there that's being farmed for hay. If you go to 200 East, 800 South, you'll see our family farm, you'll see the hay, you'll see the sheep, they're in winter pasture. So anyway, what I'm saying is I'm asking you to, the constructs of what you're trying to put the future projects in, if you would just consider loosening them up to what the project that you have now, the current Mammoth project, as opposed to what you're in the future project. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
Dennis, you're talking about pretty much everybody is talking about the Mammoth. Like I said, I know the people in Mammoth
Yeah,
all the way from the top,
yes,
and I like them, and I get along fine with them. Like I said, I have their phone numbers. I could call the CEO about any time.
yeah,
That's Mammoth. Mammoth is a good place. It's a good business, okay? I think we were talking about future companies coming in. And maybe some are saying it without saying it, is we need to put a cap on how much property in the county that the boards are considering, you know, no more, you know, because of the people,
yeah,
the citizens. Now for the people who are landlords or whatever you want to call, that's fine. Everybody's making good money and stuff. But the citizens of the county, general population, are basically against expansion.
yes,
Okay, we got what we got, okay? And kind of isn't that enough? Other than what is the benefit for the county, Stark County, to continue having more and more companies come in. I'm not talking Doral. I'm talking, you know, Exxon or whoever, you know,
Yeah.
may want to, you know, do their thing. And just because Doral's a good company doesn't mean the next company's gonna be so good and follow the rules. And that's kind of probably why, what I'm seeing is why the board is setting these restrictions up, because the last board that was here got a bag of goods handled to them handed to them before they could really, it was shoved down their throat. And a lot of them aren't here because of that
What's
decision.
so wrong with the project?
Huh?
Why are there's, what do we have to write that what's?
No, nothing is wrong with the route. This is not, I'm not discussing the route. I'm saying the next companies in the future that we should have, I think I'm saying the board and has kind of learned from past mistakes that they should have dealt with, that they didn't know to deal with from past mistakes, and they're trying to not allow that to happen again, because the public, not the landowners, not Durrell, not anybody in the future. I mean, how, you know, how much property in Stark County does they want to give up, you know? I mean, we can't all be doing this kind of attitude, you know? That's kind of, I think that's what I'm trying to say in a nice way.
yeah.
Put a cap and go through all
Right,
this.
I'm not,
ridiculous
well,
ordinances?
maybe we're leaning there. I don't know that. But I'm just being honest. At least I'm honest, you know,
Yeah.
I'm an honest person. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat something, and I'm not gonna do that. I wanna be honest, and that's what you said earlier, transparency. I'm transparent, sometimes too much. But, you know, at least I'm saying the truth. and, laying my cards down. And I think that's what it's kind of about, it's not about Billy and everybody with their sheep. Yeah, fine, great, wonderful, man, do great, it'd be like that, But we already got solar panels and we already have a big chunk of our county taken up. And not myself and stuff, I'm talking about the citizens of the county are apprehensive about, they keep coming up and going up and going up over 421 and everywhere. And that's all, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's not against solar personally, no, but how much is enough? How far do we go with this? And that's all I'm trying to say, I guess. Yeah.
If I could, there have been issues, not necessarily with the solar companies in the room, but there have been issues with vegetation, road damage, not following through with contract, right? And I think this was born out of a knee-jerk reaction to overcorrect for what we missed on the first ones, right? So it's gonna take 5 months and, you guys keep feeding them input and they'll keep, it'll come into something that both sides can agree on.
Anybody else? What comment?
Mark Barlow, I got a question based upon what I heard in this room earlier about a grant to repair a road. Can someone tell me where did that money originate from?
It's from the state economic development, organization.
Where they get their money?
They got their money from businesses and, and taxpayers.
Oh, so I paid for the road damage. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You probably paid
Drive
an
it
nickel.
I don't drive there.
Yeah. It's very.
Well, let me just interrupt real quick. So far, everybody's been very respectful of everybody's opinion. I don't want to stray from that.
Well, I just,
Right,
I had to ask that because I heard it here. And
right. Understood,
curiosity kills the cat.
understood, ma'am.
But really, so I do want, I know you guys are gonna go through all that and I'm going, because I'm tired. But I did have some notes here and I wanna talk a little bit about the 3% township cap. Now, I know when it was written, it was just a number that was thrown out. I'm not sure that it's, I'd be curious to know from the board, and I know, Mike, you said earlier that this is the first time the board is seeing this. But what I'd like to understand is, does anyone up there know exactly how many acres are in each township and what 3% would equivalent to? Okay, well, I do.
How many acres?
Because I did do my.
Don't you wanna know?
So California Township, at 3%, California Township would be 696 acres. Center Township would be 698, Davis is 691, Jackson is 424, North Bend is 695, Oregon 694, Railroad 704, Washington Township 695, and Wayne Township is 698. So depending on the township, 3% is roughly 400 to 700 acres. Countywide, it's just under 6,000 acres total. We just heard Chris say we're already over that. With adding their 1,800 acres, and I'm not sure, Chris, if you can answer this. I don't know if you included the pending projects.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Because then I took it one step further and I looked to see, because we have no way of knowing that I'm aware of really knowing without your help, thank you for that tonight. All we have visibility to is the total area for each township, how many acres are signed up in leases, and what that coverage would look like. So for example, California Township right now, 23,213 total area. Solar right now in leases, we have 3,594 acres signed up. Doesn't mean they're all being used. I understand that, which is 15.49%. When you total all of these numbers out, which I have every single county, it comes to 8.74% total leases signed up in solar for the entire county and Stark County. Where I'm going with this is, and I will piggyback off of Deb, where her and I don't normally agree, and I would agree. I think that at this point, we do need to look at a cap. Look, you ran your campaign on a cap. Let's be real as a commissioner. So do we look at a 5% township? Do we look at 3%? If you look at 5%, that still has some of our, that still just puts us under 10,000 acres. So do we put a 5%? My question to the board is, if that's what we're trying to do, let's just do it. To Kenny's point and several other people, you know, is it 5%, 6%, 8%? I don't know what the correct number is, because again, I don't know how much is really under solar, how much is under panels. So what I'm gonna question this board about is, what should we be looking at when it comes to that cap? And has anybody even looked at it to know those numbers? And obviously nobody had. So, you know, I would encourage everybody to really take a look at what that percentage looks like and figure out what that number should be versus, again, to Deb's point, you know, let's put a real ceiling in there and not just a de facto moratorium.
Ma'am,
Just a question. Those numbers, like in our land is 120 acres, half is hay, soybeans, and half is
Right, that's what I
solar.
said, some is just,
So,
I don't
so
know
if
what's.
that, if that 3%, are you guys gonna count just the solar part or all the land
The
that
way
is?
it's written in the lease is what's under solar, which
Yeah,
I
but
can't
then it's
answer that
not,
because
the
we don't have
percentage
that.
is not gonna be, the
Exactly.
percentage is not
Well,
gonna
and that's
be.
my point.
And one more,
We're just gonna have that used for.
and one more thing just to consider for the solar projects, all the jobs that they bring. I know Mammoth was in union, but Pulaski County's union, San Pierre was union, union with Laporte. And what I know as a fact is they give the jobs to the people local first, and then when the locals are not fine, then they give them to the people from other states. That is a fact. And I work at the school, and you could see the boys, they are not going to college. They are going to work. And I believe the union jobs are great because they go into the apprenticeships, and this a career. It's not just a job. And when you think about the opportunity for those boys to work right here in Stark County, I think it's wonderful. And the jobs are good, like 30 something an hour, if not more. That's it.
thank you. I'm gonna close public comment here. We've kind of gotten drifting here. You want to?
I'll be really short.
Okay.
I think maybe, and when you break down the townships, you know, you're gonna see California Township has two major. You got high lines going through California Township. If you compare it to Jackson, when my dad was a kid, that was all swamp. He helped make Highway 39 about hauling stone, so there's no high lines through there. And so the reason California Township may be higher is because you have two different transmission lines going through there. I don't know of any place in the county that has that. And also the type of soil in the rest of the county is much higher for agriculture. And even the state recommends between type 1 and 4 soils, recommended not for soil, use that for farming. But in California Township, it's high ground. There's very few places in California Township that has rich soil that is drought resistant. That's it.
Appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to close the public comment.
A motion from Mark. Have a second? I'll second. Dale, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna recommend, we're losing our crowd, we're losing our board here. I think we should schedule another meeting to go over the solar. We're gonna be here another 2 hours and we'll be the only people left.
Thank you for listening and hearing. Thanks, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a long evening.
You need a motion. We would have come in here. I'll make a motion for that, for us to have another separate meeting just for the solar one.
Okay, we have a motion from Mark. We have a second.
I'll second.
Kenny is the second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Hi.
One opposed for the record. We actually need to close. We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion from Mark to adjourn. We have a second. I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.
Works on my time. I know where you're going.
There's stuff going on in the office.
That wasn't.
Yeah, it says right here, plan commission member comments, that's them too, right?
Gwen, you have this right here. What's this for?
That was a note, but I didn't read it, I just scratched it,
Is it change or?
no.
We'll do it next time.
Still out.
There you go.
Now when we can do this.
Okay, thanks. That's fine. All right.
Mike, did you contact them to that guy?
I have not yet. I'm gonna work on it this weekend and see.